Hi there, it's Matt Heffernan. Welcome back to my channel. Yes, I haven't quit YouTube for real. I'm just kind of changing the way I'm doing things. I'm still going to bring you these vlogs for special kinds of updates, including the really big one that the Commander X16 lives. I know I had mentioned that in my last video, that it's come a long way. Well, since then, David Murray, the 8-bit guy, has released his long-awaited third video on the Commander X16. It was a mere 3 years in between those the second and third episodes of that series, and so a lot of folks were thinking that it was a dead project. But of course, those folks were not on the inside, and I've been on the inside of this project all along, at least in terms of the developer community. And it was within that developer community that the project stayed alive, and we were able to keep it going to the point that folks were making their own versions of the Commander X16, like I'm sure you might have seen in some of those Vintage Computer Festival videos. And yeah, so now it really exists. The official version of it, the design of that is complete, and right now it's just a few finishing touches. And Dave did a very successful GoFundMe, and it's ready to actually start rolling these things off. We're gonna have the first round of beta units actually going out for testing and evaluation, and you will definitely see one of those on this channel. So if you're not subscribed already, make sure you subscribe now. Click the bell to be notified when each new video comes out. And as soon as I'm ready to show you an actual Commander X16 in the digital flesh, as it were, I will have that available to you, and we'll do some even more fun stuff. But first, I think it bears noting that 3 years ago was not just the last video by the 8-bit guy on the Commander X16, it was also my first Commander X16 video was exactly 3 years ago. So on October 16th of 2019, shortly after that second episode from the 8-bit guy, I released a video called Commander X16 Sprite Demo. Now, up till this point, I had not had any retro computing content on my channel. My channel was mostly things that I had made before YouTube even existed. Old videos that I had made, documentaries, and plays that I had filmed. Mostly just stuff I either had permission for, public domain. You know, don't want to get too crazy. And that's all I had on there, plus some like home movies of my kids and stuff. And for all that effort, I had 15 whole subscribers. Well, that really started changing once this Commander X16 Sprite demo came up. So what it originally was as you can see by this very grainy thumbnail here, was just a little Pac-Man type sprite that I was able to pop up using BASIC and move it around the screen. And that was it. There wasn't a whole lot to it. Well, the second video that I came out with just shortly after that, I made some changes, and it would now eat any characters that it found on the screen. And of course, a lot has changed with the Commander X16 over the years, and that's why we're going to now see where it's at today. So here it is, Commander X16, the latest and greatest version. And what I can do is load up that original Sprite demo. So let's do it. Sprite.prg and run. And there's our little Pac-Man circle. And there he goes. He is ready to eat. And that's it. This is as basic as it gets. A little more advanced than that very first demo. And that's what my second video was, just slightly less than 3 years ago, like literally just a couple days later. And this all sort of just made everything happen for my channel. People started coming and wanting to see other demos that I created. Oh, let me do one more thing. Let me just show you the basic code. So there it is. Everything is in BASIC, including the definition of the sprite. It's all BASIC. And if I run it again, now I've got a lot more nummy nums here for the Pac-Man to go and eat. So yes, I liked the idea of having Pac-Man be a nice version of a sprite that I could play with. So yeah, I could make my own sort of Pac-Man display using the tile layers. And what would that look like? And so I sort of mocked it up as Pac-Man and started creating a game that was, like a functional version of Pac-Man. But then it's like, I don't want it just to be Pac-Man, so I would change the graphics around, and that's how we ended up with Chase Vault. So first, let me show you a little bit of something I haven't really done on my videos before, which is using DOS, because now I'm using an SD card image, and there was that sprite.prg that we loaded up before. And what we're going to do is run Chase Vault using this. So in order to do that, we got to change into the directory. So we'll do a DOS and do a CD : and CV. That's the name of the directory. CV for Chase Vault. And now we do a DOS $, and there's Chase Vault and all the binaries that go with it. So we can just load that up, and now we can run it. And you can see now it's actually going to go through the loading process more or less in real time, as it would be from a real SD card. But there it is. It doesn't take super long, but it's just not instantaneous like you might have seen it before coming off that host file system. But yeah, so here's Chase Vault as it exists today. Oh, let me turn it down a bit. So yeah, so Chase Vault ended up being not just a Pac-Man clone, but something that made it a little more sophisticated, a little more interesting, where instead of just going through the same maze over and over again, or even just variations of the maze, it becomes a maze of mazes. And you have more than one way to go through the game. And so you have a bit of choice. It's like, well, not just how high of a score do I get or which level do I get to. It's like, how do I get to that level? And how fast can I get to the end of the game? Or do I take my time, build up my bonuses, and have more lives because of that? And there, I'll just die right there. But yeah, so Chase Vault is fully working with the latest version of the emulator and the ROM and all that, and it's working on the real machine as was demoed at the Vintage Computer Festival in Chicago, along with the real Commander X16. So, and also much appreciate David Murray actually doing a quick demo of Chase Vault on his video of the Commander X16. All right, so we've reset our emulator, and now if we again look at that the root directory of that SD card image, I also have Cavy's Quest down here, my other big game that I'm still developing, and that's in another directory under CQ. But you can see here, using the built-in DOS, it's a little squirrely. It is not exactly easy to deal with. So what we're going to do is use this other program that is a sort of a bash-like shell for the Commander X16. So I'm just going to load that up right now. And there it is. Look, it's a $ prompt and everything. And now, instead of having to do, DOS quote $, I can do an LS. And look, there it is. Now, it doesn't tell you what's a directory and what's a file, but you can tell from the number of blocks that's a 0 block thing. It is a directory and not a file. And you can see that this shell program, it's not much bigger than that Sprite demo that I showed you earlier. So let me go ahead now, and I'll just do a CD into the CQ directory. And I can do another LS, and there's all the binaries for Cavy's Quest. So now, instead of doing a load and run, I can treat the PRG file, that xci.prg, as an executable and just run it. And now here it's loading up the intro to the game, and there it is. So here's Cavy's Quest as it exists today using my XCI adventure game engine. And so I've got the game engine now pretty much working for the latest version of the Commander X16. There's been some changes all along there, and so a few things had broken on it, but now the games are playable on there. I've got some more testing and a few other bugs to sort of work out, but you can go and play the game. Now, I don't have this available on a public repo at this point, but I will be posting a free demo of this game on the Commander X16 website, and yeah, it'll be available to play, and then eventually the full game will be available to purchase once I actually get around to implementing that. But the whole thing with XCI is that it's not building a game using BASIC or even assembly or C. It's a special scripting language that you can use to pull all your different assets together, your graphics, your sound effects, your music, your script, all the dialogue that's in there, and then simple gameplay directives all get put in there, and you don't have to worry about dealing with the hardware. It's all been abstracted away from you. So it's a very easy way to get into programming, and I've got a whole playlist on how to do XCI games. So here, I'll give you a little preview of what this game looks like. It's like, hey, I want to try to get out of the cage. Oh, nope, I can't do that. So what I'm going to have to do is maybe come over here and get something that I can stand on. Maybe I'll grab a little hay. So yeah, it's the game's got a long way to go, and like I said in my last video, it is the main game I'm developing. I want to get this demo version of it fully up and running, and now that the Commander X16 is coming much closer to being a real product that's out there and physically in people's hands, I need to get this demo up and running so that once it goes to the general market, people will be able to play with it and play the demo, and if they like it, I'll have the crowdsourcing for getting the actual game itself in full developed, which is going to require the talents of more people. All right, now you saw that bit of blackness right there. That was the zone change where it went to disk and loaded the second zone of levels into banked RAM. So yeah, I don't think we need to have any sort of load indicator or anything. That on the SD card, it is able to load things up fast enough that we don't need to worry about it too much. It's definitely a lot faster than playing a Sierra or LucasArts game back in the floppy disk era. In fact, even a bit faster than in the original the CD-ROM era. Although it's not looking as pretty, because here we are at 16 colors. But we can mix different palettes together, so you can have some very colorful things. This is obviously just mock-up graphics here at this point in the game. So that's where we're at with XCI. A few bugs to work out, like you'll see here. We're hitting a break somewhere in that code. And yeah, so things aren't quite working 100% with XCI, but we're gonna have a new beta release of XCI, and that will come out ahead of the demo version of Cavy's Quest, and that'll be available for free for anybody to try, either on the emulator or on the real hardware once that's available. All right, let's reset our emulator once more, because all I've got left to show now is that most awesome of all programs I've created for the Commander X16, our Patreon page. So the biggest thanks in the world go out to these folks here that have been supporting me all along, including some new folks that have come on since the last video. And I can't thank you folks enough for continuing to support me as I take my channel in this new direction of not putting out content for content's sake, and to build views and snag those subs and those ad plays. What it's really about are these projects, these games, and spreading the gospel of retro development, of retro homebrew out to the masses. So that's what we're trying to do, and create awesome new things like the Rocket 88. And really, the patrons help me by far the most for that. And if you want to join these folks and not just be part of that community, but also you get to see these videos before they come out, because of course you can subscribe for free at any time, click the bell to be notified when those new videos come out, and you'll see them as soon as they're public, but you get to see them a little bit earlier if you're a patron, and you don't have to sit through the ads before they go public. So that's a pretty nice deal. And yeah, that's all we got for you. This is on the shorter side of our videos, but this is the sort of the basic kind of vlog type videos that we're going to do. Just simple, quick demos of what's going on. And of course, the next one will be an update on Rocket 88, and there's a lot of really cool stuff happening there, a lot more of the detailed design and Verilog coding, and I can't wait to show you some of that once we have a nice little demo to show off, and a lot of other cool things happening too. So please come back, and I'll be here with more newfangled retro goodness. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.